Hello everybody, this is the Vikstrand and welcome to our agroturismo here in Puglia. Do you have 5.5 hours almost to spare? If you do, you might or might not want to spend them along with Gerard Depardieu, Robert De Niro, Donald Sutherland, and for some bizarre reason Sterling Hayden. Then you can bear witness to the 20th century of Italian history. And you can also see Donald Sutherland headbutt a cat to death. Wait, what? Anyway, this movie is simply called 1900 by Bernardo Bertolucci. Alfredo and Olmo, they're born on the same day. They are played by Gerard Depardieu and Robert De Niro. They are also become friends, but they are also on the separate side of the class spectrum. De Niro is going to inherit this big vineyard in Emiliano-Romagna, I think it is located. And Gerard Depardieu is one of the workers, but that doesn't stop them from, being friends and then being separated and stuff like that, because when the rise of fascism, which is represented by Attila, played by Donald Sutherland, we'll get to him in a second. And the entirety of this movie is basically that the vineyard and the small town that is located close to it is supposed to represent the entirety of Italy. So you're basically going to see that what affects the vineyard and what affects the town is basically the entirety of the Italian country. And Robert De Niro is portraying the entirety of the rich landowners. Depardieu is playing the oppressed workers, and Sutherland represents the fascism. And apparently Donald Sutherland was so appalled by his character's actions and the demeanor, and he was so evil that he had difficulty of watching his Attila going around with his merry days of being evil. And my only question is, have you watched the same movie that I have, Sutherland? Because holy fucking shit! Holy shit! Donald Sutherland has just consumed an entire buffet of scenery. This is John Travolta from Battlefield Earth. This is Jim Carrey from Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. This is Nicolas Cage from The Wicker Man combined into one, and it even fucking is more than that. He laughs bug-eyed and ah! And it is so over the top, and it is so incredibly silly, some of the things he does. Even when he does evil stuff, it kind of looks silly. Even his demise, which is, we will see in the start of the movie. He's being, chased by peasants with pitchforks. It is completely lunacy. Let's talk about what I really like about this movie. Because I do. Because De Niro and Depardieu is fantastic. They're great, they have great chemistry together, their characters are good. And even though they are very, archetypical of what they're supposed to represent, they do it very well. Donald Sutherland is a blast to see, but it is very, very over the top. And then we have all these sequences that you feel like you're being part of history. You feel like you have been transported to early 20th century Emiliano-Romagna, when they're slaughtering the pigs and they have the dancing in the forest and stuff like that. But there is a caveat to this one, and it is the fact that these sequences goes on for freaking ever. And there are fantastic shots in this movie that simply is breathtaking. And it has perhaps the second greatest transition cut that I have ever seen in the entirety of ever. The best one, of course, is being the bone being thrown up in the air in 2001 and then being created into a spaceship. That is the best one, but this one comes pretty close. I'm talking about the tunnel shot. I'm not going to spoil it for you. Fantastic tracking shots. I almost feel sometimes that I'm watching some kind of a Stanley Kubrick movie. Too bad he couldn't have directed this one. But if he would have directed this one, he probably wouldn't have directed Barry Lyndon. So, no, scratch that, by the way. However, we are gonna have to talk about the length of this movie. 5 hours and 17 minutes. It is, to say that it is bloated is an understatement. It is breathtaking how fucking long this movie is. Gerard Depardieu and Robert De Niro, they show up 1.5 hours into this movie. And I simply can't take it. It is too much. I have no problems watching long movies. Hell, I've seen movies that are longer than this one and they have earned their length. This one can't earn its length. It is too excessive, it is too much. The sequences goes on and on and on. The ending seems to go on for freaking ever. I was ready to just check out at that point. It is so boring for considerable time, and you have these long setups and then almost no payoff, and you have these sequences that I guess is supposed to represent something, but I don't know what it is, and then they move on. Oh, by the way, that is something we have to address here. I am not an expert on Italian modern history. I know some stuff. I know more than most people know about Italian history that aren't Italians. But even I was very confused at times, because I really don't like when movies hit me over the head with exposition. But couldn't you, Mr. Bertolucci, have given us just a little hint of what this sequence is supposed to represent? Because sometimes I'm completely baffled. Also, by the way, is this the first movie where they have used cocaine? Because I can't remember anybody using cocaine in a movie that is made before the 1970s. So is this the first movie where they actually used cocaine? I mean, the sequence takes place in the 1930s or something like that, so was cocaine invented back then? I know a lot more about Italian history than I know about the history of cocaine, but that's a story for another time, I suppose. 1900 is a great tapestry of characters and stuff like that. The scope and the scale and the intentions are fantastic. I guess the idea was that Bertolucci was going to create this big tapestry of characters and sequences and events and stuff that would end up giving us something bigger than just a normal movie experience. One problem I do have with this one is that sometimes I feel that Attila, Olmo and Alfredo are being sidelined for other stuff that isn't as important or as fun to watch. And just to go back to our good friend Attila, about 4.5 hours into this movie, that feels weird to say, he actually starts acting like a proper bad guy and being properly evil and stuff like that. But it is too late, because he got the cow shit thrown into his face 20 minutes earlier. So it's unsalvageable for me, at least, but it was fucking hilarious to watch. Whether or not you should see this movie is up for debate. I don't mind having seen it. I might not see it again for the foreseeable future, but I really appreciate the scope of the thing, and there are pockets of absolute magnificence into this one, but it just comes at the expense of this extremely bloated runtime. They could easily have cut 1.5 hours of the entire thing. Hell, they could have cut the entirety of the child actors playing Olmo and Alfredo, and I wouldn't have missed it a single bit. 1900 is a difficult movie to get through, but you're feeling a little bit more cultural when you have done it. 1900 is a big, humongously vibrant and liveful movie. The movie deserves all the respect for Ennio Morricone's fantastic music, the fantastic camera work, the absolutely spectacular settings. Some of the moments in this movie are immortal, and it is a cultural milestone. Despite that, and despite the fantastic acting, the great intentions of the movie, it cannot fully cover for the fact that this movie is 5 hours and 17 minutes long. It is simply too out of focus for too long times, but I will give this movie 55 points. It is a movie that you should at least give a chance, but beware when you see it. It is a long movie, a full-length movie indeed. So, I'll see you next time from, well, so-and-so, reviewing, well, such and such. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much.